Hi friends, it's Cami from the blog Tidbits. Today I want to share with you 3 really nourishing, comforting meals that you can make during the winter season. I love to cook in the winter. I love cozy, nutrient-packed foods, and winter provides a really good time of year to do that. This is the first kind of cook with me video I've ever made, so I would love to hear your feedback. Chat with me in the comments below if you like this kind of content. Now, my husband and I usually share the responsibility of cooking since he is working from home with me. We just kind of ebb and flow to see who has the most time and availability that evening to make dinner, or if one of us wants to make dinner, has an idea. So we kind of share that responsibility. So as I take you with us through the week as we make these meals, you might see myself cooking or my husband. But this is something that we really enjoy, kind of sharing this responsibility together. So tonight on the menu, I want to make my favorite coconut lime curry sauce, and we'll put it on some chicken, and I'll probably do some brown rice if I feel ambitious, maybe some whole wheat naan bread, and throw in some veggies and maybe fruit on the side. So this is a really warming meal. Anytime you're using like curry or turmeric or ginger, any of those really warming spices, it really warms you from the inside out. So I love to make this traditional, maybe Thai food or Indian food during the winter. So I will be sure to share recipes or links to recipes with you down in the description below if you want to know how to make it yourself. Oh, I might also mention for this coconut curry chicken recipe, really you can adapt it any way you want. We have a whole chicken, so I'm just gonna have Mr. Tidbits do his favorite seasoning for a roast chicken, and then I can use that chicken to make some broth, which I'll need for later in the week. So we're using a whole chicken, but you can use the same sauce recipe and use it for like a marinade if you want to grill your chicken. That's what I like to do with it in the summer when we got out the grill. If you just want to season the chicken, marinate it, and put it in a skillet, and then eat the chicken that way, that's an option. So just take this sauce recipe. You can crock pot it, instant pot it, however you like to make chicken. Throw it into the chicken and those flavors will just infuse into it and be so yummy. Anyway, I'm gonna let Mr. Tidbits take the whole chicken because it kind of grosses me out. But it doesn't faze him, so I like to hand him the meat.
Hello. Wife wants to make some curry coconut lime chicken, and I'm the meat guy in the household, so she likes when I roast the chicken. We have a whole chicken, so I'm gonna roast the whole thing like I normally like, and if there's any leftovers, we'll keep them in the fridge. I add some spices. First things first is you salt it the day before. Coat it with salt. That salt will pull the moisture out of the skin and pull the moisture from the inside of the bird out to the outside of the bird. It helps retain the moisture, which is kind of a backwards thought. But anyways, it also helps crisp up the skin and just makes it look better and taste better. But I mix some butter with some spices. I put it underneath the skin, on top of the skin, and I roast it for an hour or so, depending on the size of the bird. The spices I use are kind of a spicier blend. It's got some chili powder in there, some cumin. I just like the flavor it gives the meat, and the gravy is phenomenal. And so, yeah, we'll go ahead and get started here.
I'm going to make some brown rice to go with the curry chicken. I love brown rice. It has so much more depth of flavor. So for me, Instant Pot's the only way to do brown rice. I had 2 cups of brown rice, about 3 cups of water. It's more flavorful if you use broth, but where we're gonna add curry sauce to it, I don't think I need much more flavor. Just a little bit of salt, and then I just pressure cook it for, I think, 24 minutes. I love this Instant Pot. I'll link it below for you. It is a good one. have a new obsession of combining pomegranates with anything like really potent and flavorful, especially curry dishes. Just this bite of tart juice is so good with those flavors. So I just want to peel this pomegranate and throw it on top of our chicken. I think it'll be good. I wish it was fresh pineapple season, but it's not. But this curry chicken tastes so good with a bit of tropical citrus as well. In the summer, if we're grilling the chicken, you get fresh pineapple and grill it for a little bit and put it on the chicken. Oh, it's the best. But that's not an option. The pineapples look terrible in the stores, so I just got organic pineapple chunks in juice. So I'm gonna take this curry sauce and get it heated up, maybe even thickened up, and then I'll add the chicken to it. So normally, if I was like grilling chicken, this would be the marinade, and then what was left of the marinade, I would do this. But since we just had a roast chicken this time, I'm gonna warm it up. I have a flour, water, slurry paste, whatever they're called, and I'll use that to thicken it. And then we'll put our chicken in. I like to get my 8-quart for the bone broth, so I got that chicken in there. I'm gonna fill it up to the max fill line with water. So I keep the actual chicken carcass in a strainer so it's easier to lift out. All right, so I like to throw in about a handful of peppercorns, maybe a few bay leaves. And then I just have like veggie scraps or some extras. Usually I know I want to do this when I have celery in the fridge that's going bad. And then you don't need to worry about trimming the veggies and the outer layers. You just kind of throw it all in there. I will do some more salt, do a little more water, kind of push my veggies down into the water. And then this is going to pressure cook for an hour and 20 minutes. Then I'll strain it and bottle it up. Boy, that made a ton of broth, which is awesome. We're gonna need it for the rest of the week. Pardon the terrible lighting, but I am going to prep some sourdough biscuits for tomorrow. I know we're gonna make some soup, so I want biscuit to go with it. So I'm gonna let the sourdough long ferment this biscuit dough, so I've got to get it started tonight. So this is butter that my husband made, about a cup, and then this is all-purpose einkorn. I'll mix up whether I use whole wheat or all-purpose einkorn, but I try to keep the ancient grains in our diet over the other ones. So I'll add some salt. So I gotta say though, all-purpose einkorn sourdough biscuits are just about the yummiest things in the world. I do like eating whole grains, but oh, einkorn is so buttery. And when they make it into all-purpose, it's just delicious. I like to buy the JOVIAL brand. They're organic, all-purpose einkorn. And then I also have einkorn berries that I will grind up when we want whole wheat breads. So, okay, that feels about right. Still a little sticky, but I will let that long ferment overnight, and then tomorrow I'll add some honey and the baking soda and baking powder and get them cooked up. That curry coconut chicken with the pomegranate seeds on top was absolutely delicious. If you give it a try, let me know. But today it is very snowy and cold, and I am feeling like it's the perfect day for comfort food. So one of our favorite go-to recipes is called a creamy cauliflower soup. And I actually have the recipe on my blog. I will link for you in the description. And if you actually want a lighter version, my sister created a recipe, adapted mine, and made it for the Instant Pot, and a much lighter version. Like instead of cream and cheese, she uses, I believe, like garbanzo beans to make it creamy, and then some nut milks instead of dairy milk. So there are two different versions, and I'll link you to both. But I have to say, I make both of them frequently in the winter months. But if you're really craving just creamy, cheesy soup, definitely check out my recipe. If you want to go lighter on it or maybe vegan, definitely check out my sister's. So I am going to make this soup with you and show you how it's done. Make up those sourdough biscuits that I started last night. And we're going to have a very nourishing comfort soup that I just love. So I am going to saute some onions and garlic with butter. Get those softened. You really just need to rough chop the onions because this soup is blended at the end. So we just need to get them roughly chopped. Okay, while that's sauteing, I'm also gonna rough chop this organic cauliflower. Sometimes if you're buying organic, they can be pretty small, so you might wanna use 2 heads. This one's actually quite big, so we'll get away with the 1 head of cauliflower. While I'm doing this, I thought I'd tell you about how this recipe came about. So if you've ever been to a ZUPAS cafe, they have this creamy cauliflower soup called Wisconsin cauliflower, and we love it. It is so good. It's like what I always get when I get there, but I wanted to be able to make it at home, so I played around with the recipe and came up with this variety. But the first time I made it, one of my kids, I don't remember who, but they said, "Mom, this is better than ZUPAS cauliflower soup." So that's what the recipe is called on my blog. Better than ZUPAS creamy cauliflower soup. So it's quite a compliment, and ZUPAS is still great, but I might have to agree. This is better than ZUPAS. I'm gonna get these strained and washed, and they'll be ready for when we put them in with all the liquids and those onions and garlic. So these onions are nice and translucent. We got some burnt crispy garlic and onions on the bottom, which will just add flavor. So then I'm gonna put in 1/4 cup of flour. This is all-purpose EINKORN. You can use any flour really, even whole wheat will work. But this is just to thicken the soup up a bit. Make kind of a roux in here. Okay, then I added in the water and the chicken broth that I made last night with the cauliflower. And we're just going to leave a little bit of gap on the lid and let that simmer until the cauliflower is fork tender. I've found that doing a different blend of cheese is really good. So I do some pepper jack and some sharp cheese. Now, I prefer extra sharp cheese in this soup. Our store didn't have any, so I just grabbed sharp. But if you can get extra sharp, that will add quite the depth of flavor to the soup. All right, we got our tender cauliflower in here. Now we're going to scoop this in batches into a blender and blend it up and get it really smooth. You can do an immersion blender, but I find that a full blender does a much better job at making it creamy. So we also need to get our milk into here, so I just kind of add it in batches with the batch that I'm blending. And then in total, you'll be adding about 1 cup of pepper jack cheese. You can add the cheese after this is all blended, but my kids kind of whine a little bit about the pepper chunks in the pepper jack cheese. So I actually just blend it up with that. And oh, one more thing. I like to add a little bit of Dijon mustard. This is something Kevin made up for us, so it just adds a little bit of a kick to it. So I'll go blend that up. And I just pour the blended up batch into a separate bowl until all this is out, and then I'll put it back here and warm it up one more time with the cheese to get it all melted. Looks nice and creamy. And you can add anywhere from 1 cup to 2 cups of the sharp cheddar cheese. Start low, see how you like it, and then we just stir that until it's all melted. You can also add salt and pepper to taste at this point. And just play around till you get it just like you like it. That soup will just stay nice and warm for us while I finish up these sourdough biscuits really quick. So this recipe is from Farmhouse on Boone, and actually my sourdough starter is from Lisa from Farmhouse on Boone as well. So it's always fun for me to make her recipes with her sourdough. I will link it below for you. As you can see, I'm a play it by eye kind of cook for most things that I'm really familiar with. So this is one of those things I just play around with, and usually it turns out great. tonight we are doing one of our absolute favorites and probably most frequent dishes for dinner. We are going to make what we call Squacho cheese. We make a nacho cheese sauce with more veggies than cheese. The main bulk of it is from butternut squash, and we still have a few of these left from our garden that we've been storing, but they definitely need to get used up. So we make Squacho cheese a lot through the fall and winter months. Now, my husband's actually going to show you how to make it. He's in charge of dinner tonight, so I'll follow him around and show you how he whips it up really quick. We might actually double the batch and use this Squacho cheese throughout the week. You can use it with, of course, nachos, which is probably what I'll set out for the kids. Just ground up some beef, give them some chips and some veggies and things to put on their nachos. But we also have a lot of vegetables sitting in our fridge that need to get used up. So we'll probably roast some vegetables. And then the husband and I love to just drizzle that Squacho cheese on top of veggies. It is just extremely nourishing and warming, and it just tastes so good. You really can't taste a lot of the squash flavor because you're adding in some other things. It really only requires a little bit of cheese. We use nutritional yeast that actually adds a bit of a cheesy flavor, so you don't have to use quite as much cheese. And this recipe I will link in the description for you. It was created by my sister Marcy. She's a food blogger, and I will link to where she has it on her website, but you can also find it in our physical pressure cooking cookbook, and I also have an ebook with all these recipes. So I will share where you can get this book as well. It is full of Instant Pot or electric pressure cooker recipes for you. Now you can make the squash in the Instant Pot. You can throw it in there whole, or you can chop it up. We usually chop it up because it cooks a lot faster, and it's kind of hard to clean the butternut squash when it's cooked whole and you gotta scrape out the seeds. So we like to chop it up first. You can also, if you don't have an Instant Pot, you can stick it in the oven and roast it to soften it that way, or steam it, however you want. And then you throw all the ingredients into a blender and get it made up. It's absolutely delicious. Okay, so make up this recipe. You can use it for nachos. You can use it on baked potatoes, is delicious. Pour it over your roasted veggies. It's also great as a sauce on pizzas. We love to make sourdough pizza and use that as a sauce there. So just many ways to use it, and it is absolutely delicious. Well, my friends, that wraps up this little cook with me video. Please let me know if you like this kind of content. I actually had a lot of fun cooking with you and sharing some of the things we eat. We love from scratch food and pretty much cook like this all the time. So please let me know if you like this kind of content and I'll make more. Anyway, have a lovely day and I will be back very soon to share more inspiration for the keeper of the home. We'll talk soon.